Hello and welcome to the Mossley Hill Podcast series, where we're going to be focusing on people's faith and exploring how prayer fits in. Today, David will be sitting down with Geoff Johnston, a long-standing member of the church, together with his wife Joyce, to discuss his faith journey.
Thanks very much for meeting with me today. I hope you're well. I'm looking forward to chatting today about yourself.
Yes, thanks, Dave. I am. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. So as we said in the introduction, it's a series that we're doing about talking to people about exploring their faith and what it means to them.
Yes.
But also, because this Lent we're focusing a little bit about prayer. We'll be thinking about prayer as well. But that's a little bit later this morning. So first of all, I thought we could just start. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, your family and so on, really. Okay.
Right, fine. I was brought up in Nantwich. I went to Nantwich Grammar School, left there when I was 16, came to Liverpool, joined the Liverpool City Police Cadets, and from there on to the force in 1960, and I then served in the force, mainly here, but also a short spell at Interpol for 2 years, but then left in 96, and did nothing for a year, but then became a financial advisor with Canada Life for 4 years whilst both my children were at university, just a little bit of extra money into the pot, and once they were finished at university, I also finished work altogether.
Yeah.
My family, my wife, I met at the training college at Warrington, Bruges, Warrington, in 1960, and we were married in 1963. I have 2 children, Helen and Andrew. Helen was born in 1976, Andrew 1978. It went a long time before Helen came along, but that's nature, I suppose.
Yeah.
And
so 63, so that means you've just been married
13 years.
60 years. 60 years now.
Yeah, 60 years on 28th of September last year. Yeah, 60 years. Yeah, lovely. My parents are both Liverpudlians, although they didn't come back to Liverpool until sometime in the 60s for his work and what have you. And most of my relatives were in Liverpool. And we used to come as a child, came to Liverpool to see them. And it was a natural progression that I should join Liverpool City Police, because that's what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I have a twin brother who also joined the cadets with me and went through his service with me, although he retired 6 years before I did. I have 2 elder brothers, both unfortunately died now. They were born 33 and 35, so they're 8 years and 6 years older than me. As to our family, they are about the country now. They both went to university. My daughter in South Wales and my son in London, and they just never came back, which what happens. And we're very fortunate. We've got a family home in South Wales, if you like, and a family home in Cheam, just outside London. So sure. It's very encouraging. The only thing is it's a journey of 2.5 hours, 5.5 hours mainly each time. Yeah.
So you don't get to see them quite as often as you might like, but it's great when you see them.
Yes, that's right. And they mean an awful lot to us.
Next, we'll find out about Geoff's faith journey.
Everybody has their own personal journey with God. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your own faith journey.
Yes, I suppose I wouldn't call it a faith journey when I first started, but it was in the choir at Nantwich where we lived. I was in the choir from age of about 10 to 13, but I fell out with the vicar for various reasons. But that dented my faith, or not my faith as such, because I can't honestly say I had much of a faith at that time. But it did inhibit me a little bit regarding church. I didn't do anything regarding church other than being married in church in Oldham, where my wife comes from, and the children being baptised both at Mossley Hill Church, is where we go to now. And it wasn't until I suppose when I was at Interpol in London in '82, that a trigger happened in my faith, and that was due to something which happened. And some people call it coincidence. I happen not to think of these things as coincidences, but happenings which are there done for a reason.
Yeah.
I could tell you a bit about that story if you like. It involved me going into work early one morning because my boss was away in the Caribbean on a conference, so I was then in charge of the UK Interpol. And I decided to go in early to see the night man, who was glad to see me at 6:30 in the morning because there was a panic on. An IRA man had gone to America, bought a gun and gone to Australia, and he was going to shoot Charles and Diana, who were on their first visit abroad since their marriage in 1981. This was April, May '82. I asked him what he'd done. He told me. He said they wanted a photograph in Australia. And I said, well, have we sent one? He said, our system isn't compatible with the Australian capability. And it was then that I sat down and I thought, what can I do? And whether you call it a light bulb moment or whatever, I don't really know, but a fortnight or so before, I'd had it at a dinner at a senior Metropolitan Police officer who had retired, and I was invited to the dinner. I sat next door to a chief inspector from the Met who was posted to the post office at Old Holborn as a link between the Metropolitan Police and the post office. And I suddenly thought of him, and I thought, wonder if the post office could send the photograph. Bearing in mind, of course, this was long before phones could send these things. They weren't invented. So I rang him up, and he said, yes, of course we can. I said, what do you want? He said, the photograph and where it's going to. So I had the photograph sent over to him by courier, and a quarter hour later, Australia Interpol said they'd got the photograph and were looking for him. 4 hours later, they'd locked him up. No gun, but it was an IRA man who had entered the country illegally, so all they could do was deport him back to Ireland, which what happened. But that got me thinking about why these things happen to us, if you like. And shortly after that, I came back to Liverpool, told Joyce, but her, when we had children, we met, or she had someone from the hospital, and we met, and she was Shirley Cross, who came to Mossley Hill Church. She said, why didn't you bring the children to the church? They'd enjoy the Christingle. And which we did, and they enjoyed it, and we've been coming to the church ever since. And my faith has grown remarkably since that time in '83, and
yeah.
I became Church Warden in '93 for 4 years, and other things within the church.
So you've seen a few changes in the church in that time?
Many changes in the church, yes.
Okay.
And next, David moves on to chat about Geoff's passion for his family.
So is there something that you're really passionate about, something that really makes you tick, wants you to carry on, get up in the morning and so on?
The thing that makes me get up in the morning is my family. Especially my wife. We have been married for over 60 years, and our children and grandchildren. Without them, I don't really have a passion for living, if you like, because they mean everything to me, more than any sport or music or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's the family, and I do everything for them that I can. Grandchildren now, concerts and things like that, we go to them and what have you, and it
brings you great joy, obviously.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they're all talented individuals as well. Which, both my children are as well, and they're fortunate enough to have good spouses as well. But it's the family, grandchildren mainly, if you like.
I'd like us to think a little bit about the role that prayer perhaps plays in your life. So can you sort of say how important prayer is to you?
Prayer is a very personal thing for me. I don't pray aloud, and I don't pray as often as lots of church people do. My wife prays every morning and every night in her own domain. I don't. Mine, and they're not necessarily arrow prayers, but it's occasions which hit me during the day, and I pray about those things more than anything else that occurs. Obviously, I pray for my family all the time and what they're doing, and I like to know what they're doing so that I can pray that they are successful in what they're doing and that they don't get hurt. But other than that, my prayers are limited to what else I can do in my small little sphere of myself, for the world, for the family, for the church, but especially the family.
David asks about the role of prayer in Geoff's life.
So, Geoff, is there something that you'd feel comfortable to share, perhaps, where you felt that any of your prayers have been answered, or just explain a little bit how you feel about that?
I can't say that any prayer has actually been answered, and the reason I say that is that when I pray, it's a conversation I have with God. I'm not asking him to do something specifically for me, but to maybe show me the way that I can do whatever I'm asking for. Whether any of those prayers have ever been answered, I can't honestly say, because my brain doesn't work in the way that, I've said something, now it's happened, that because I prayed about it. I forget what I prayed about very often, and things happen, and sometimes I think, I was thinking that, and sometimes I say, I did pray about that, or I didn't pray, I should have prayed about it, if you like. Yeah. But they are so diverse from each other when they occur to me that more often than not I don't even think that they are because of I've been praying about something or a specific thing. So it's rather difficult to say that anything I've prayed about has been answered in that way, because I don't think that God gives you the answers. He gives you a way forward. Sure. With your problem.
Well, you certainly don't always get the answers that you sometimes wish you'd got, but there's often a different way which turns out to be a good way for you.
Yes, I think that is correct. In that respect, I think God is mysterious, and that is a real pleasure to me, that he is mysterious. I like mysteries. Yeah. Mystery plays and mysteries such as that, because I try and solve those things myself because of my nature of being a policeman for.
I'm just going to say, it takes you back to being a policeman.
40 odd years, but whether they are right on what I do or not, I don't really know.
Well, Jess, that's really interesting chatting to you. I want to say a big thank you for agreeing to do this. It's always very good to hear different stories from different people, so thanks very much for doing that.
That's a pleasure. Can I just say one thing? We started our prayers last night in the groups from involved with the church.
Yeah.
And I read William Barclay's book, and the prayer for the 19th yesterday was basically telling us that Sir Giles Gilbert Scott designed Liverpool Cathedral, and he also designed the telephone box. And he mentions in that people go to church, go to the cathedral to talk to God, and they go to the telephone box to talk to other people. And I thought that was a marvellous little synopsis, if you like, because when these things happened, it was long before mobile phones where you could just almost instantly find anything out, and people did do those things. But it was just interesting. Here was a very well-known man, an educated man, an architect, who did those two separate things, and yet they're both conjoined. And that to me is what God does. He joins things together which have no relevance to each other, but he joins them up. And that's the important thing to me about God. He joins things up for you.
It's great to hear. Thanks very much.
As always, thanks for listening to our podcast. Keep us in your prayers and check in soon for another exciting episode.